If you could have a drink with anyone in the theater world, who would it be? I'm Anthony Caporale, and I'm running through my list. Each week, I'll sit down with cast members, bartenders, and personalities from New York's theater district and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to live, work, and play on Broadway. Come have a drink with us on Broadway Bartender. Welcome to Broadway Bartender. My name is Anthony Caporale. We are here at New World Stages in the heart of Manhattan's theater district, home to my show, The Imbible, A Spirited History of Drinking. And you can probably tell I love doing Broadway Bartender, but I am just so happy about this episode because we're going to be talking to one of my personal great friends and someone that I know you are just going to be so excited to meet. And the first drink we're making is by request. It's one of his favorites. It's a daiquiri. Now, we have done a daiquiri before on Broadway Bartender, but this one we're going to do with dark rum. And this is a little bit closer to the original daiquiri. We're going to use Zaya Grand Reserve rum. And what I want is 2 ounces per drink. So that's 4 ounces. And a classic daiquiri, if you haven't had one, doesn't have strawberries in it. There's no blenders involved. It's rum, simple syrup, and lime juice, and that is it. So we're going to add about 1 ounce of simple syrup for this double recipe, which is a ½ ounce per drink, and then some fresh lime juice. And I'm going to do 1 lime per drink. And that last half of the lime, what we call a hull, is going to go in the drink so that the essential oils from the zest can be absorbed by the alcohol and really kick up that lime flavor. And then I'm going to shake this up really, really well. And as always, I want to chill and dilute this. What I'm looking for is frost to form on the tin. Then I know it's at the right temperature and also at the right dilution. And when we have that nice frost on the tin, I'm going to strain this into a martini glass, or what we sometimes call a cocktail glass, and you can see the beautiful color that gives. That's that aged rum, that Zaya Grand Reserve rum, and we're going to garnish this with a fresh lime wedge and serve it to my special guest and also dear, dear friend, Paul Bogaev. Paul, how are you, man?
I'm great, and I am.
Try that.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So
very
first of all,
much.
cheers. Does that work for you?
Perfect.
That's
not
nice.
sour.
No.
No, that's very important.
And
not
that
sour.
aged rum gives a little bit of extra sweetness, so it doesn't even as much simple syrup as a daiquiri made with light rum.
Now, if I down this, do I get another one right away?
You get whatever you want, my friend.
Okay.
We have been wanting to have you on Broadway Bartender, I think, since we started. You've been such a supporter of the show, and I just think you're one of the most interesting people that I've had the pleasure to meet since I've been in this business. Musical director of Chicago movie, Grammy for Aida.
Mm-hmm.
And a million...
And Chicago.
And Chicago,
Yep.
Right. A million other things. So cheers.
Thank you.
To you.
Once again.
Yeah. And so I just want to talk, man, and just hear some stories and tell me about things that you've done.
Well, listen, right before I'm telling you about embarrassing things that have happened.
Yeah, we were talking about embarrassing things that happen on stage.
First off, first time conducting in New York City, my first gig was Radio City Music Hall. You ever see the Christmas show?
Yeah, I've
you know,
seen
with
the
the
Christmas
llamas
show.
and the
Yeah, we used to go
camels and
every
all
year
that.
when I was
Right. So my parents are, up in the big house, Rockefeller house seats, that orchestra pit. If you've seen it, the orchestra pit comes up out of the ground. So you're on stage level, and it comes up, and we're doing here. There's a guitar.
We need props.
We're doing, yeah. Doing, deck the halls with right, and that's coming, and the orchestra pit is rising, and there's this big slow up, rallentando, retard, fa la 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 la, and I'm looking out. I'm not even looking at the orchestra. I'm looking up in the balcony, right? And I go like la, and the baton flies out like Cupid's arrow in a direct arc. Lands in the middle of the tuba. Like, loser all time.
Or not. Paul, how I would say you couldn't do that again for money.
Nobody could do that.
How do you do it?
Because, yeah. So, right. And I remember this, and all the first thing that comes through my mind, I had this great piano teacher at Juilliard. Best 3 words I ever heard from anybody. She used to say she didn't care if you could, play Pyrotechnicus and Rachmaninoff, and if it didn't have expression to it. Right. So this guy would always play right in front of me, and he was great technically, and she would say, "Darling, very nice, but what are you saying? Express, don't impress." And I'm thinking, right after the baton, I go, that was the most perfect example of impress, don't express.
Don't express.
It's like karma, right? Serves you right.
So what did you do? How do you recover from that?
No, I'll tell you what happened. The baton, it comes back every stand. It comes back.
They pass it back to you?
Yeah, they're passing it back to me. The worst thing is, there's 6,000 people screaming with laughter and drowns out the whole rest of the overture. And then the cast comes on, and they're dressed, it's a Christmas Carol, and they're dressed like in Dickens costumes, and they're coming out, pointing into the pit, and it doesn't stop through the whole show. All they do is point at me.
So this wasn't something that went unnoticed.
No, no, because you're up on the stage. Everybody saw it.
So I would think this happens a lot, though. I would almost think that like conductors would have like a bunch of extra batons taped to a stand, like guitar players with their picks.
Well, I stuck one. We did a show on Broadway called Aspects of Love. Do you know that, Andrew? Right? Andrew Lloyd Webber show, and it had this kind of jagged set that came out, and I went, boom, and came up with this stump.
And broke it.
Yeah. All that stuff. Things happen to me, Anthony. I don't. Maybe I bring them on. I don't know. I couldn't care less. I don't know.
So this was your first big conducting gig was Radio City, the Christmas show?
Yeah, it was.
That's amazing, man.
No, I had done one show in summer stock, and they were looking for 2 conductors, and I auditioned for that, and I got this incredible gig out of Radio City, a silent movie called Napoleon with a live symphony orchestra that Francis Ford Coppola produced. And his father, Carmine Coppola, who won 2 Oscars for The Godfather, was the composer. And he was like, he was the voice that Brando copied for The Godfather. Honestly. Oh, no, honestly.
There's a guy who talks like that?
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola's father, Carmine.
No idea.
That's my boss, right?
Okay.
And I remember because I got the gig because I was working Radio City, and he said, "I want to meet you," and he said, "You will conduct this movie." It was like
like an opera.
Yeah, but I was like, "Yeah, you will do this, whether you like it or not," right? So I did it,
So what were you doing before that, though?
I was I was an actor, and I was in Hair, but I used to,
Which production of Hair?
Later, not the Broadway production, later on, and at the same time I was going to Juilliard Music School, and I actually got money from doing acting, things like, I had big hair, like Hair and Godspell.
Godspell, my favorite of all time. Right? You know that.
And Pippin, right?
Yep.
And all those big hair shows. And then when I went back to Juilliard and started studying conducting. And once I started conducting, then that's what I did for a long time. And then started arranging and producing music and producing, music for feature animation and movies and Broadway and composing.
But you started as a conductor. That's what you got your formal training in?
Oh yeah, pianist. So and I was also a player in rock bands too.
Really?
Yeah.
So musician, conductor, then composer, arranger, producer, all that stuff. Yeah. So I have to imagine, one of the greatest musicians I've ever worked with in my life was the conductor of my chorale in college. He had a degree from Yale, and he had an undergrad degree in math, and then went on and got his doctorate in composing.
With math and music.
Right? Two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I thought was amazing is, you grew up in America and you think like the conductor is just the guy with the stick and the Bugs Bunny cartoons, like what are they actually doing, right? And you don't realize they're the one that, I mean, you're directing the piece, right? That's your job, is to like bring the piece to life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's gotta be incredibly helpful when you then go on to arrange and compose and also produce stuff. I mean, I would imagine that's like a really useful foundation, yeah?
Well, it's part of it. I keep thinking of it because we're doing this, mixing. It's about mixing.
Yeah.
It's about mixing together sounds and dynamics and, like 3 parts of this and 2 parts of that. And that's what arranging is like, when you decide which sound is going to mix with another one to create an effect. Everything that you do should come from expression, from the story. Whether you're conducting, whether you're acting, whether you're singing, whether you're, whatever you're doing, composing, everything comes to me, from an idea. So that's the main part of that's the source of everything, where everything emanates from.
Wow, I love that express, don't impress. That I can see why that stuck with you, man.
That is my favorite. And whenever I tell that, anybody I work with, like I remember, name drop, Renee Zellweger. And I say that because I think she's brilliant. And I said that to her when we were rehearsing the movie of Chicago, and she said, I will never forget that, because, and I will use it all the time, because it keeps you from, I guess, showing off,
right? Yeah.
And thinking like you've got to be more than you feel, and you know what I mean. Like,
well, the example that I use in my industry is, and you've seen the Bible many times, and one of the things that we actually talk about is the difference between a mixologist and a bartender.
Right.
And I always tell people mixologists are about making the drink, they're about what's in the glass. Bartenders are about serving, it's about the connection and the storytelling. And a good bartender realizes that, yes, what's in the glass has to be outstanding, but the reason you're coming to my bar is because of the story and the experience that you're going to have, right? It's not about the fact that I made a good drink, it's the fact that I'm going to give that to you and share that experience with you in some way. I think there's an analogy there, right?
Yes, I feel like I'm at the confessional. So I told you my own big loser story.
So I got to ask you, because this is an amazing, one of the things I always try and do is give people a little insight behind the curtains in terms of some of the terms and things in our industry. So again, for the viewers that think the conductor is just the person up there keeping time, if you had to explain to a lay audience of people what the conductor's job is, what would you say?
Because everything is in conducting is based on the and. The and is the breath. The and has everything in it. It has the tempo, it has if you want something loud, you're gonna go boom, like that, right? And soft. Because I am literally directing you. It's funny because the word in different languages, like direttore in Italian for conductor, chef d'orchestra in French. I like the English word conductor because it's from the Latin root conduco, which means to lead with. And that's the key, because dictating is one thing, but if you're a player, like, and I'm working with you, and you've got, say a French horn, what I'm saying to you is, this is how I want you to play this next phrase. Like that. So everything is in my thought, all the expression, all the story, and I got to get that into you. And I will say, I'm looking at you in the eyes, because
you're very good at that.
Well, I was told that, and it's Napoleon. I didn't tell you that was the name of the silent movie. Napoleon said that. He said, "You look into the eyes of your troops when you want something," and man, you can. That's when you connect with your orchestra players, and you're sending the idea into it. So that's. I think that's what it is. It's telling the story.
Telling a story through the music.
Absolutely.
So I want you to, you're going to play something for us, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
That's my cocktail. I'm gonna play my composing cocktail for you.
Okay, but before you do that, if I can ask you for one more thing.
Yeah.
Again, so many people might not be familiar with the difference between composing and arranging. So when you write, let's say, a line of music,
Yeah.
where does it leave off between I've written a melodic line and I have arranged a piece? For
okay.
example?
Well, I'm really clear about that because legally you have to be clear about it. There was a show on Broadway, Aida, and Elton John and Tim Rice wrote that, and I was asked to come on and take the songs. As Elton John said, I am a songwriter. And this is he had Lion King on Broadway, which he wrote quite a few songs for, but this was the first full original score. And he said, look, you have experience in putting shows together. I want you to take this and you have carte blanche, meaning you can take a song and if you hear it a different way, you can do that. And there's some songs that I got demos for in Aida that are entirely different in the score because I decided from the story to rearrange them in a certain way. But what I did not do is ever change a melody that he had written. That's sacrosanct, that's sacred, and I felt like if I was gonna screw with that, that was going into composing territory.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And I'm gonna be very clear, and very few altered chords, melody and chords I really, kept alive. But the song that I'm going to play for you was written for a show called Three Musketeers that played in Europe for about 4 years, very recently, and was produced by the man who built this whole place, New World
Stages, the whole complex?
Yeah. A company called Stage Entertainment, and he had a show, Three Musketeers, and I was brought on as the arranger of songs that were written by Dutch pop artists. And they needed what's known as, an 11 o'clock number.
Yeah.
A big number for Milady, who is the villain of the piece, where she begs for her life from her former lover, to be saved from getting hung. So anyway, it was a big dramatic moment. And the actress had done Les Mis, I knew it, and she was brilliant. She could do Les Mis, she did Phantom also.
Excuse me.
Right. And I was researching the piece as an arranger, and I started playing pieces by a French composer named Francois Couperin, right? And turns out I uncovered a certain theme that I went, oh, that's going to make a pretty good song. So anyway, I'll show you that later. So that is in turn, I call that my Couperin cocktail.
Oh,
so that's the song.
And what is it about this particular piece that you think makes it analogous to a cocktail?
Well, 3 parts Couperin, 1 part Les Mis, 1 part. Don't you talk in parts?
I do.
Yeah,
I
right.
do talk in parts.
1 part Phantom and a little Fantine, right?
And you're going to explain all that to us?
Oh yeah. Well, you'll hear it. You'll hear it.
I can't wait. Yeah. Okay, so you promised me a Richard Gere story before or after?
Oh, okay. Another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We did the movie of Chicago, and I thought he was great. Richard Gere, first of all, is a great guy, and he is a Renaissance man, if you know anything about him, besides he's a great actor, but he's, Eastern religions. He's totally into that. Plus, he is an amazing musician. He plays about 8 instruments.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Like blues guitar. He played with Van Morrison's band. He's that good. And he's also an avid photographer and collector of very famous photographs. So one day we're in rehearsal in Toronto, and he asked me just out of the blue, he goes, who's your favorite composer? And I said, Aaron Copland. I love Aaron Copland. It just touches me. So he was like, oh, it was kind of, I don't know much about him. He's okay, right? I was like, You don't say okay to me about Aaron Copland. It's like them's fighting words. I said, no, he's really good. Anyway, so about two months later, my wife calls me. She said, you rate. And I said, why? She said, you got a Christmas present from Richard Gere. Did you tell him that you liked Aaron Copland? And I said, yeah, I told him I like Aaron Copland. She said, he sent you this like beautiful 8x10 photograph. It says, love Richard. And she's a very accomplished composer, and she knew Aaron Copland, Leonard Bernstein. She said, he's very old, looked like right at the end of his, and all you see is his face. It's kind of, he looks like he's in black, and looks like he's next to a black piano. You could hardly tell, but it's a very arty photograph. Oh my God. So I go out, and I get this like $200 frame for this thing. You know, it's going to be on the mantelpiece. And so I got to call him up and thank him. So I call him up, and I said, Richard, thank you so much for that Christmas present. And he was so like, he's very, very self-effacing. Oh, yeah, well, what? Oh, you know, it's like that. It's a big deal. And I said, how did you remember that I loved Aaron Copland? And there's this huge pause, and then I hear, Aaron Copland? That's the Dalai Lama. he goes, boy, he's stupid. And I said, hold on a second. And I got to tell you, honestly, Anthony, I swear to God, separated at birth. In this picture, the Dalai Lama and Aaron Copland, they look alike.
And he's standing next to something that looks like a piano.
Right.
You know.
Right. So the weird thing is, and I realized, love Richard. Oh, there are like 1,200 of these that he sent out to everybody. The caterer, the grips, anybody, you know, big deal. So if you'd like, if you would, before I put it on eBay, if you would care for a, you know, stamped autographed thing of Richard Gere, of the Dalai Lama.
If you don't mind,
not that I have anything against.
If you don't mind writing on it to Anthony Love Aaron, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love Paul. You can have my.
If everyone's not Googling Dalai Lama and Aaron Copland right now, I'm going to be amazed, because I'm going to do that as soon as I get off set.
Boy, you stupid. Thanks.
All right. You feel like playing a song?
Well, of course. Of course. Of course. I feel like another daiquiri.
I'm going to make you, actually, when we come back, you're going to make me a drink.
Daiquiri? Margarita?
Margarita.
All right. You got it. Okay.
Let's do it. All right, Paul, what are you going to play for us?
Well, we were talking about this Three Musketeers and this piece by Couperin. And I had done a movie called, well, it ended up being called The Emperor's New Groove. You know that, right?
Familiar with it, yes.
Right. It started out being called The Kingdom of the Sun. It was a very serious picture. And Sting wrote these great songs for it. And I found out from the guy he wrote with that he had done a movie of Three Musketeers before the stage show that I'd done. And that piece that I told you about, the Couperin, he actually said, oh, he had the same idea. That would make a good song, but he never did anything with it.
Okay.
Thank God. So anyway, I was telling you about, so I'm researching this, you know, to get ideas for arranging from the period. And I'm looking through this guy's book, Francois Couperin, and it's this thing called Les Barricades Mystérieuses, which I botched the pronunciation of.
Okay.
But it goes like this. Kind of Bach-y, you know, Baroque, right?
Beautiful, though.
And I hear that and I go, there's maybe a song in there. So, like I told you, this great actress, singer, had done Phantom, had done Les Mis. So I wrote this verse that's kind of phantom-y. And here's Couperin. inspired bridge. Not stolen, but inspired. Dramatic here and bring back the verse. And there's got to be a key change.
Paul Bogaev
Pretty big.
Broadway Bartender. Music as cocktail, dude. I get it.
Caporale cocktail.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Parts of one thing, parts of another mixed together.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, that's so unbelievable to watch. First of all, to watch you play, but to hear it explained that way. Paul,
That's it, man.
thank you. Okay, I'm not just going to thank you in words. How about a little gift for coming on Broadway Bartender? A little Crystal Head vodka for you?
Oh.
Yeah?
Packaging.
And like you said,
I'm a sucker for packaging.
Express
I don't
not-
care what it tastes like.
Express not
It
impress.
looks good.
Taste the liquid. It's that good.
Vodka, man. Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you
No,
so much.
Paul, what a pleasure, my friend. That was incredible. Hey, you feel like making me a drink?
Yes. Yes.
Let's head back to the bar.
You got it.
Paul, that was amazing. That was one of the highlights of my life, let alone Broadway
What?
Bartender. Dude, you're just,
Get outta
I
here.
mean, come on.
Get outta here.
You're fantastic. Okay, so, ready to make a drink?
Yeah.
All right, so margarita. This is another one of your favorites? Awesome.
My absolute favorite.
Absolute favorite.
Yeah. Mhm.
Good. So right under the bar, we have a bottle of Corlejo tequila right there on your right. That is it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to do about 2 ounces of tequila. So you're just going to turn it up, and you're going to do an 8 count. Yeah, that's going to give us
Oh, my God.
2 ounces each.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Where do I put it?
Right into this tin. And I already have ice in there for you.
Okay.
So there's the spout. It's going to come out that way. So
is
just
it 8,
turn
like
it up.
1/1000, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that. It was perfect. I love it.
And the lips are moving.
Yeah. So now normally we would do, you can put that back in the rail. We would normally do like triple sec or something like that, but I'm going to kick this up for you. And we have a little Fernet Branca under there, which is just a lovely, lovely, spicy, wonderful, beautiful liqueur. And we're going to do a 2 count of that, which is about a 1/2 ounce each. So same thing. A little bit more. Yeah, normally you want the bottle like straight up and down. There you go,
Oh.
perfect. Good, good, good. You just, yeah, it doesn't matter. Put that right back in the
Oh,
rail.
God.
And then we're gonna do some fresh lime juice. You want a napkin?
Yes, I think
yeah,
so.
of course.
Mhm.
If I always tell people, if you're not wet, you're not bartending.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
and then you got to break something. That's the next thing that has to happen. But
I
we'll,
took a little of
we'll
the
wait for you to come
embarrassment
back
out of that.
on
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna do some fresh lime juice. So I have a citrus press right there. One right next to that.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
good. So go ahead and open that up. And you want the lime to go in this side with the flat part down. So flip it over, just like that.
Got it.
Yeah, and then hold that over the tin and squeeze. Good. And we're just gonna do about a 1/2 a lime per drink because this tequila is just beautiful tequila and I really want that to shine through.
Okay.
Okay, so you can take that and then dump that right in the trash to your right and then go ahead and put another lime in there and squeeze that in. And then this one, when you're done squeezing, we're gonna drop in the tin so we can get all those beautiful essential oils from the lime skin into the drink.
Okay.
And this is going to be a very tequila-forward margarita. You can go ahead and put that right in the drink.
Oh, the
The lime, yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. Put that off to the side. I'm going to take that mixing glass and put it on top of the tin. And I want you to just gently twist it and pull it to one side. You'll feel it lock. Just kind of push it down.
right.
Yeah, good. Good.
Okay.
There you go. And
There
just
you
kind of give
go.
it a twist and kind of push down on it.
Got it.
Got it?
Yep.
All right, good. One hand on top of the tin, the other hand on the bottom of the, on top of the glass, rather, bottom
Yep.
tin. Go ahead and give yourself a step off the bar, and then give it a good shake. Yeah, there you go. Good, really kind of get
Percussion,
some,
yeah.
get some
Yeah, a
good.
little percussion,
Yeah, percussion in there. Good job. Nicely done.
Okay.
All right, so you can go ahead and take
Latin, yeah.
take that glass off. Just give it a little twist. There you go. And we have the strainer, which goes on top of the tin with the spring side down. Yep. And then you're going to take this hand and make a gun, just like that, and take the barrel of the gun and put it right here, right outside of that tab. Yeah, and then just take those other fingers, wrap it around, and you can strain it into our 2 glasses
Very
with
good
ice.
teacher.
Hey, I know.
think, when
Yeah,
I have to
as
do
far
this
as you
stuff.
know. All right, and go ahead and just strain it right into there.
Okay, right
Yep,
in here?
right in there. Right over the mint.
Like there?
Yeah,
Okay.
right, like just like that. And you're going to take the rest and put it into that one.
Damn.
And this is our Fernet margarita with a little mint garnish, which I think goes really well with the Fernet Branca. And there you go, my friend.
Oh,
Cheers
yes.
to that and see what you think.
Thank you.
Ooh, you get that nice mint on the nose?
I've never had mint in a margarita.
Yeah. It's
Now
nice.
we talked about salt,
We
right?
did, yeah, we
Because
did.
I usually order it with
A lot of
cone
salt.
salt on.
Yeah, so one of the things that salt does is it actually, so we always say in cooking, a little bit of salt enhances flavor.
Right.
A lot of salt hides flavor. So one of the reasons why, especially in fast food, they'll load it up with salt is because as long as we're tasting salt, we're happy, but we're not tasting anything else. It uses up a lot of the taste buds on our tongue. And in this, a drink that's made with a beautiful tequila like this, a beautiful liqueur, fresh lime juice, and mint, I don't think you need salt on this. The salt came about when we had lower quality tequilas that weren't made with 100% blue agave. We were using things like sweet and sour mix with all kinds of artificial ingredients. And then you would just put all kinds of salt on it, didn't really care what the drink tasted like because you were just
sure
tasting
that's
the salt.
why I had the salt.
Yeah, it also made you thirsty,
The
so you would
lousy
drink a
tequila.
lot
Right,
more.
yeah.
But that's not why we're drinking. I'm not making you this so you have 10 of them. I'm making this so you have 1 or 2 or as many as you want, but it's up to you. But I want you to enjoy the taste of the ingredients in the glass.
Now,
So-
where'd you get the idea for the mint in it?
So the mint, as I said, I think goes really, really well with the Fernet Branca liqueur that we're using. And I also think it gives a real nice brightness. And, you know, for things like lime and lemon, very often if you want to pair a common herb with them, we pair mint. It's easy to get. But I'll tell you another thing that works really well with this drink is basil. Would have worked really, really well with this. So not, I don't think, any more difficult to get, but mint is just, most bars today have mint. Fewer bars have basil, although you just go right in the kitchen and you can get it. But it's just a really nice, fresh, interesting garnish, and I think it's accessible to most people.
Basil, that is the nouveau basil ice
Yeah.
cream, basil, whatever.
Yeah, so another thing you could do with this is you can do a variation of this drink that's called an Italian margarita that actually has basil in it. And it's just as beautiful, but I've decided to go with mint today. Good?
Good, but I like the feeling of standing here with you
like
sitting.
that?
Yeah, I like that feeling. It's like, okay, what are your problems?
See?
I know. It's like, it's like I told you it was like the confessional. That's what it feels like.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I was drawn to bartending is I tell people all the time, I always say bartending is like a Broadway play performed by a psychiatrist. I mean, and you're feeling it right now, right? The theater guy who's running the confessional. Like, that's what it is.
Well, you know what? Music director, music producer, conductor, psychiatrist.
Paul,
33 parts? 4 parts? Yeah.
thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
I can't
this
tell
is
you
all.
what a pleasure it was. Paul Bogaev, folks, where can they find out what you're doing next?
Well, the next Broadway show
Yeah.
is called, oddly enough, Viva Mixtia,
Mixtia.
which is the mix of Spanish music through 500 years, from Africa and Gypsy through West Indies, and it is written by the man who wrote Fela, if you know that show,
Yeah.
which I thought was brilliant. And we're working on that. I have a great composer, Venezuelan guy named Cesar Orozco, and I'm doing a K-pop music. I'm going to Korea to produce a K-pop musical in the fall.
What's it called?
It's called Sandglass.
You really are all about music and composing as cocktails, as mixes, man.
Oh,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Oh yes, that's what it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
Website? Anything you want to promote? People find you, or just come see your stuff?
We have also a few things. PaulBogaev.com, and there are a few things on that.
Okay, check it out, folks.
All
I
right.
can't tell you again, what a pleasure, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Folks, thanks for watching. As always, you can check us out on BroadwayBartender.com for recipes and links. Tune in next week. Drink well, drink responsibly. Cheers, my friend.
Hey, mate.